Hello YouTube. Today I got a little repair motor replacement on a Furibee F36. Now I got two Furibee F36s here, and this motor had quit, the left front, and on this one the left rear has quit. So you got a clockwise motor up here, you got a counterclockwise motor here. So I can take this motor off of this one and put it over here on this one. So that's what we're going to do. This one ended up being a donor. It's not a very hard fix to do. You just got to watch that right here. I don't know if you can see it on the board. It actually shows you M plus and M minus. So that's motor plus and motor minus. And it's on all four motors where they solder in. But I did notice on this one there's red and white wires on this motor. And on this one there's black and white wires on this motor, and on this one the black is negative, the white's positive. On this one the white's negative and the red is positive. So I'm going to have to watch what I'm doing when I put this motor on this one, make sure I get the white on the negative and the red on the positive. So that should be easy because red's typically standard positive. But over here, different color wires, but it's the same motors. There should be no problem. So let's go ahead and get started on this. First of all, I want to take this propeller off of this one. This is the motor I'm going to use to replace the other motor. And let's get something in here to wedge underneath and push it off very gently. And there we go, got that propeller off. So this motor is going to have to come out, but we have to get the wires off first. So get these wires out of the way. Pull these wires back very carefully. These are very thin wires, so you do want to be very careful. Okay, so what we have to do is knock the solder off, the wires off of this one. Get the soldering iron here, tin it up a little bit, and we're going to give a little tug on this wire here. You got to be careful not to melt the plastic of the frame or anything here. There we go, got that off of there. That's the negative side. Got a little gnat flying around me here. I don't know where it came from. Those things are really annoying. Okay, so we got the wires off of this one. We are going to have to clean those up a little bit before we put it on the other one. So we got to be very careful to pull these wires through. Now they are on a little tiny hole right here, a little clip hole. Got to kind of get those finagled out of there. Let's clean some of that solder off of those. Get that off of there. That should do it. Now we should be able to pull these through. Yep, got those through there. Now there's another channel they lay into right here when you're putting them back on, but there's also another clip right here, and the white wire is still underneath it, so we got to get that out from underneath there. Okay. Goes out. Now we have to be very careful pushing this motor out of here. We don't want to push it too hard and end up yanking the wires. Be very careful getting those wires out. Okay, so there's the motor we're going to replace this one with. And we got to remember, red is positive, white's negative on this motor. On this one the black is negative, but this is a bad motor anyway. Okay, so there's the bad motor, and this is a good motor on this one. So we got to run these wires back through. Got to run them through the top and out the bottom on this side, on the inside. So there we go. Got those through there, And these are already bent that direction, so I'm going to put the motor this way. Slide that motor in. And right now I am not going to tuck those in just yet. I'm going to run them up through. So I got plenty of wire to work with here. Okay. Now we do need to get a little bead of solder on here on this pad, because I took all the solder off of that pad when I took that wire off. A little piece of wire that broke off in there. So we're going to get a little solder on that. There we go. Do a little bit of fresh solder on that too. Okay, so now we know these are already tinned. They're pretty decent anyway. So we got to have the white wire on the negative and the red on the positive. So now this is where the tweezers come in handy. There we go. Not exactly the direction I wanted it to go, but it's out of the way of everything else. It's not shorting out on anything. Get the white wire. And there we go. So now we have to make sure that these wires are tucked down underneath this clip right here. And I have such big fingers, I can't even get my fingers in here to do anything, so I have to use the tweezers. This one underneath here. There we go. Make sure they're sitting down right. Now we got to take and lay these down, but by pulling these up through, it'll help lay them down. That white one. Pull them down through, let them sit in that little channel there. Hold them in there. Now we can pull these up just enough to get some tension on them to be able to fold them over. And fold them over this way. Just fold them over like that. Okay. And by the way, this one has two-bladed props because these are one of the modifications I did, just change the two-bladed props. It does increase flight time. Okay, so now we're going to put this prop back on. And we're going to get a transmitter and a battery here. Just get a battery in there. Plug that in. Let's see if it lets out that mysterious blue smoke when I turn this thing on. Bind it up. Bind it up. And we have a repair. Okay, so what it was doing before with this motor dead, it was actually just flipping over. As soon as you try to hit the throttle, it just flip over. This one here was doing the same thing, but it was flipping over this way because this motor here was dead. So now we got a repaired Furibee, and I have two dead motors. So I can just put these two dead motors on this, back on this one, and now I got one clockwise and one counterclockwise motor left that I can repair this one with still yet, and still have a good board if that ever goes bad. So I still have a good frame here, and so yeah, I got didn't cost me anything extra to replace that motor. I'll still get a lot more flights out of it. By the way, this one and this one both had over 100 flights on them before the one motor quit. But buying a couple of these things, buy a few of these things, they're really cheap on sale. And one goes dead, you have a donor, you can just pull out another one and start flying it until something goes dead, pull the parts off the old donor until you run out of parts. So there's a little simple fix, little Furibee, and all I got to do is put the body back on, which I don't know if you guys know this, but it's just two little holes right here, a little hole there on the body, and the battery plug is in the back, and it's got pins right here. Just kind of slip that on there. Let's go ahead and unplug this while I'm doing this. Slip that into that pin, push it over, slip this other one down. And because of the way this body is designed, putting this back on, it is a little bit of a pain, but sometimes they go on right away like that one did. Other times you have to mess with trying to pry this out from underneath the body, but that one went on just fine. Let's go ahead and plug this back in. One more shot. Just to make sure everything's working. Yep, everything's working. We got a little Furibee again. And I still have two spare motors right here. One clockwise, one counterclockwise, and a spare board and a spare frame. So there you go, a little simple repair on a motor on a Furibee F36. Not much of an issue, just the fact that there were different colored wires on this one, and not a big deal. Just watch your polarities. It is marked on the board. So there you go, YouTube. Just one more little thing you can do to save yourself a little extra money on these things, because the motors I think are like $6-7 for a set. If you want to go ahead and buy another whole set and replace all of them, that's one thing, but if you're just going to mess around with these, buy a couple of these. It's cheaper to have all the extra parts that way, and you can end up Frankensteining stuff together. You can get other motors, you can get other boards to fit these. So there you go. Quick little fix on a Furibee F36. Thanks for watching.